I'm Ian Dowell. I'm from Acton, Massachusetts.
Cool. All right, Ian, tell me a little bit about this production and your participation.
Um, I was involved in the pre-publication reading of All Bark, and when Kara was revising it for publication, and I had also seen the original production, and once I got to read the script out loud, I knew that I wanted to be part of the next production. So I basically turned down a lot of auditions in the past year so I wouldn't be involved in anything when this one finally came around.
So what has made this production special for you, maybe, or different for you than any other production you've been in?
Kara used a new technique that I've never used before called textual improvisation, which required that we come into the first rehearsal off book, essentially, and then we physicalize and literalize all of the lines while we move around on stage, improvising, blocking, and interactions with the other characters. And it was great to come in off book and have that much more time during the production to really inhabit the character without stretching for lines or holding a script and inhibiting our physical interactions.
Tell me a little bit about your character. If you can explain just for the viewer to get an idea who you are or who you're playing.
Sure. I play Robert, who is Charlotte's boyfriend and Bella's person. He's sort of a guy. He's a fairly sensitive guy, but still a guy, and he provides the stability in the relationship where Charlotte provides more of the emotion. He's a fairly calm, down-to-earth, let's not get too worried about things kind of guy, and which is very much in contrast to the dog he ends up with, who is very melodramatic and emotional. So it's a neat contrast between the people and their dogs, and Robert ends up with two very emotional women.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about just working with Kara?
Sure. Kara is, she directed this production before in a workshop production, but that was with people that she had been working on the script with and revising it and workshopping it. And so this was, I think, her first time doing a full new production with people she didn't necessarily know, and it's just been wonderful because she's doing all the things that I wish all my community theater directors had done for all these years. She focuses on character and not just on getting the show on its feet, but actually having people inhabit their characters, having them relate in very grounded, realistic ways. Even if it's an absurd comedy, the audience is not with you unless you're real. And whatever the reality of the show is, you want to introduce the audience to that reality and convince them that it's real, and then they're with you for whatever you do as long as you stay grounded. And Kara was wonderful with giving us the guidance and the notes and the feedback that we needed to do that. And the rest of the cast was wonderful too. Everyone, I think, contributed. But Kara was very open to feedback from the cast, both on the script itself and on character motivations. I mean, it was a very interactive, collaborative process. But at the same time, she had a vision. She had a vision for what the stage would look like. She had a vision for who the characters were. And although she was willing to work with us and modify her views of things, it was really nice that we were working on a cohesive vision and not just, just say your lines and do this. It doesn't matter if it makes sense. It doesn't matter if it's consistent. It doesn't matter if this apartment looks like somebody actually lives here or not, which is, all too often the case in community theater.
Awesome. What can the audience, the viewers that come here to opening night, what can they get? What are you hoping to get out of this production? But what, like, if they know nothing about this production, what can they expect?
They can expect to laugh a lot. They can expect a smart show. It's not cheap laughs. It's not, nothing is, well, most things are not just done for laughs. They are grounded in honest emotions and honest interactions. So I think they will fall in love with the characters, and they will care about them, and they will be very entertained by the things that happen to them.
Awesome. I guess the only other thing we might just want to ask is, see if I missed anything. Oh, yes, sorry. What appealed you to the script? What was the takeaway that you were like, I like this script? Or?
It's a smart script. It's and she's been working on it. You know, she revised it for publication from the original workshop production. She's revised it again before this production, and she's been revising it during the production. When things don't work, or they land awkwardly, or they just don't make sense, she does not consider them too precious to cut or to modify. She rewrote the whole end of the last 2 pages of the script because it was just not unfolding at a pace that was going to be keeping the audience engaged. So I just appreciate the fact that it's a smart script with very real characters, and there are no bad people in the script. There's everyone. The audience is going to be rooting for everyone, and there are conflicts and there are misunderstandings, but there's also a lot of love and acceptance, and things resolve pretty well. So.
Awesome. Well, again, I think that's it.
Okay,
We're
great.
good with this interview.
I play the role of Eugene, which I enjoy very much.
And what is your character like, if you can explain to the viewer who doesn't know necessarily who you are?
Eugene is a dog who is very much into his routine and lifestyle and habits, and he's not happy when things start to turn around and get a little, upsetting for him. So he loves his owner, Charlotte, very much, and wants to keep her to himself. And I think that's his main goal here throughout.
So, can you tell us a little bit about just the rehearsal process? What has that been like for you?
It's been interesting. I've never rehearsed in the way Charlotte has had us rehearse. She's had us learn our lines pretty much up front, and then as we got used to our lines, get into the blocking process, which I thought worked pretty well. I've never done it that way before. So we've always just learned the lines and the blocking at the same time. And as she has pointed out, that can be rather cumbersome, carrying the script around while you're trying to learn the blocking, etc. So this worked out well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What was different about, I mean, you mentioned a little bit about that, but has it been different for you to work on this project, maybe versus another project that you've worked on?
Well, other than that aspect, I don't know if it's been too different from, other than that. I like the way we, perhaps we've gone into more character development with questions that Kara's asked about, what is your view as far as this particular character sees the world and and his role in it. So I think that's been a little bit different.
What about the script appealed to you? What was?
I like the interaction that Eugene has with all the characters. It's just especially Bella, his relationship with Bella, and he's angry, and I guess sometimes I like playing angry, So, and it makes for an interesting role, you know. And his love for Charlotte as well, I think, is, and he, of course, he's angry at one moment, and then when it comes to Charlotte, he's loving, very loving, of course, because she's his person.
So have you learned anything about yourself just in this role as an actor? In this role?
Well, I like playing comedy, and I guess this just solidifies that. Most of the plays I've done are comedy, and I really enjoy that. And this comedy, of course, I've really enjoyed doing as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And just maybe lastly, as a viewer who doesn't know anything about this production, what can I expect? What am I going to expect coming in and watching this production?
I think you can expect to get a little insight as to a dog's relationship with his, in this case, Eugene's owner, and how we seldom really think about how dogs really like a routine, and I think this comes out well in the play. He likes the routine, and when things get upsetting, when that routine gets upset, Eugene is not happy. So I think that's one of the things, that the relationship between Eugene and, of course, when another dog comes in to the scene, his reaction to that as well. I think it's fun, and I think any viewer would find that the reaction Eugene has very amusing, yet interesting.
Actually, one last question I had for you was, what has it been like to work with Kara?
I've enjoyed very much working with Kara. I like her approach. I've never worked with the playwright before, so it's kind of fun if the playwright notices, well, you know, this line we really don't need it, so let's get rid of it. In other plays, you know, they don't have the license really to do that. You can't just drop lines here and there. So I think that's been interesting, and she's fun to work with. I like it. Yeah.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. That's all we got.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Julianne McGordy, and I live in North Oxford, Massachusetts.
Awesome. Good. All right. Awesome. All right. So we'll just get started. Julie, why don't you tell me a little bit? Julie, right?
Yes.
Sorry. Julie, why don't you tell me a little bit about your role in this production?
So I'm playing Charlotte in the show, and Charlotte is the one who lives in the home where all the action takes place. She owns Eugene, the dog, and she is dating Robert, who is coming over for a very big night where they introduce their dogs. And she finds out some very big news immediately before the show, which raises the stakes completely for her and all of the characters. So she has to figure out how she's going to deal with the already stressful night of the dogs meeting, but also this new news on top of that, and what that means for her relationship with Robert and for the dogs.
Awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about this role that you've taken on here? How's this been any different than anything else you've ever done, any production you've ever done?
The show's been really unique in the sense that Kara constantly wants it to be natural. She wants it to be better. So we're constantly updating the script. We're tweaking lines. A mistake could be a happy mistake that turns into something new for the show that she's willing to incorporate. So the initial stress of working with the playwright, thinking, are they not going to like my choices, is the decision that I make for this moment and how I react, is that not what they imagined when they wrote it? All of that stress kind of melted away, and Kara was able to embrace the things that we did and accept them and actually work them into the show to make it stronger. So in that sense, it's been a very unique experience. She was not stuck to any preconceived notions of what she thought we should do on the stage. She was very open. The character herself is very quirky, hopefully in a lovable way. She's very tidy, she's neat, she has her routine, which she is comfortable in, but at the same time she wants to open herself up to love and to the potential of bringing other people into her life. And while that's scary and stressful, it's also exciting and new. And so the character's journey throughout the show is very unique in that aspect, where it's a very real human problem that we have day to day, and how do you incorporate that on stage and make it come across as this natural life that you're living.
So you mentioned your interaction and your work with Kara. Like, how has it been working with Kara overall?
Working with Kara is great. She's friendly, she's outgoing, she's very accepting of everyone. She consistently encouraged us to go big, make big choices, take risks. We started off working with texted improv in order to push ourselves further than we would normally go on the stage, to break down all of those boundaries between the actors, bond us together so that we felt free to make those choices. And Kara was right there with us the whole way, encouraging us and directing us very closely. Instead of kind of separating herself from it, she immersed herself deeply into the process with us, so that it was more of a collaborative team effort than just a separate actor and director relationship.
Fantastic. Can you tell me about like just the cast and crew, like just working with the other talent that you got to get the opportunity to share the stage with?
The cast and crew are great. The whole cast from day one, we all came in off book. We pushed ourselves to be better, be stronger. Every time someone raised the stakes, we all followed, and it encouraged us to also turn around and raise them even further. So we all bonded together in that way. The whole crew has been very supportive, from the stage manager and director at every rehearsal to the theater's artistic director and the tech crew and the lighting. It's all come together, and everyone's just been very encouraging. They love the show. They love watching us rehearse, which is encouraging for the actors. We get a lot of feedback from them before we even have an audience, which is great.
Awesome. Now, as a viewer, someone who's never seen this production and are coming to see you guys on opening night, what can they expect out of this production?
You can expect a lot of craziness, a lot of laughter, a lot of wacky hijinks from the dogs, but also from the humans. They're very real situations, they're very relatable situations, but they're also fun and quirky and ridiculous at the same time. So you can just expect to enjoy yourself.
Awesome. And I guess maybe just the last question, which I think was mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention it, was what was appealing to you about the script?
The script was appealing to me because I love dogs and I love acting and I love Kara, and it was a great way to bring all of those together. It was a very natural script when I read it the first time. It was very easy to imagine these scenarios. You would think that people playing dogs on stage might be a little difficult to portray, but the way that the script is written, it flows so naturally, and you can just see the personality and the physicality of the dogs as you read it. You can see how the humans are reacting to them. And I love the aspect that the way that the humans interact with the dogs is more like they're people, like you would with your own pet, rather than talking to it like an animal. You have those conversations where you're not talking down to the animal, you're just having a one-on-one with them. And even though you can't fully understand what they're saying, it's very interesting as an actor to hear the other actor saying the lines, but imagine in my head, if this were an animal, what would it translate to in their physicality? What would I be seeing that makes me understand these words? And then I also like the cleverness of the line overlap, where sometimes the dog will say something and the person can't understand them, but they have the same thought at the same time, and how the dogs react to that, because it's a situation of, well, yes, I just said that, why aren't you listening to me? And obviously they're an animal, so it's a lot of humor, but it flows easily and naturally.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like this is going to be an awesome production. I haven't seen anything about it. I've just been interviewing guys, and I think overall, I think this is going to be amazing.
Here's hoping.
Based
no
on
pressure.
Everybody. Yeah, I know. Well, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else other than that I might have missed. Those are all the questions, right? Let me just double check, just so I haven't, in case there's anything left out. Nope, I think that was it. I haven't asked this question because when I asked it earlier, they kind of cringed at it. It was one of the ones she put in here. She says, "All bark, no bite, and pet owners." Wasn't really a question. It says, "What would be the appeal for dog?" Okay, so that's what the question is. So,
Oh, well.
maybe we could start with that then, I guess. What would be the appeal for dog owners or dog lovers?
I think the appeal is that when you watch the show, it's going to be very relatable. You're going to completely understand where Kara's coming from and sit there and say, oh yes, I do that with my dog, or yes, I've seen people do that. And even if you don't like dogs or if you're not a pet owner, it's still a very real situation that you can see, real life aspects of these characters in. You can see the polar opposite personalities of Charlotte and Robert, which, if you don't relate to one, you'll probably relate to the other. The polar opposite personalities of the dogs are also very human-like. So if you don't relate to a human, you'll probably relate to the personality of the dog. So I think it just has something for everyone in it, whether you're a pet owner, a dog lover, even if you're a cat person, you'll probably walk away saying, dogs are pretty awesome. They're pretty hilarious. So I think that's the really strong aspect of it.
I think you just hit all the points. I don't even have to ask any more questions after that. All right. Well, thank you.
All right.
Tell me a little bit about this production.
Well, All Bark No Bite was a play that I wrote a handful of years ago, a couple years ago, and it started out with a concept of basically what would our dogs say to us if they could. And I had a feeling it wouldn't always be very nice, and it would probably be pretty ridiculous. So I played with that concept, and then I got a group of readers together, and we read it and to see if it would work, and it did. So I finished writing the play. I did a workshop production of it 2 years ago, and since then it was published for a year with a small company. It had its opening in Dubuque, Iowa a few weeks ago for a 3-week run, which was great, and now it's opening here at Calliope Productions for a 2-week run.
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about just the way that you approach this this play and the way that the cast has been reading the scripts via text and how you guys have improv?
So I wanted an opportunity to direct the show again, and Calliope and Dave Lute here gave me that chance. So I jumped at that, and I wanted to not only grow as a playwright and with the script, but I wanted to grow as a director. So I have a mentor, Diana Canterbury, who has been sort of guiding me in this process of becoming a more astute and intuitive director. And that's been really great. So one of the things we have tried was this form of texted improv, which we are determined to find a better name for, because when people think of improv, they automatically feel embarrassed and awkward, and that's not what they want to do. But that's not what this is. So the actors show up off book for whatever scenes we're rehearsing that day, and they essentially get to have fun with that text, where they embody it. They do a form of literal gesture, where they're just taking the words and interpreting them as literally as possible and allowing them to sort of get into their body. And it helps with the memorization. It helps with breaking down boundaries between the actors so they feel more comfortable, especially in a comedy or a more physical show where any posturing or distance between the characters can be really noticed. So it's helped with bonding.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of characters, can you talk a little bit about the different characters that you have in this play, and maybe talk a little bit in that aspect?
Yeah, it's a 5-person show, and we have the man and the woman who are in love, and it's time for them to take the next big step in their relationship. So Charlotte and Robert decide that tonight is the night that their dogs are going to meet. So Eugene and Bella come onto the scene, and we see how they interact with each other. And then there's the neighbor, Suzanne, who doesn't care for dogs, doesn't care for the situation, and has a lot to say about it.
Awesome. What can a viewer who's going to be their first time experiencing this show, what can they expect out of this production?
I hope that they can expect to laugh a lot. At the heart of it, it is a comedy, and it's a comedy with heart. So it has meaning, there's relationships, there's insecurity, there's development of the characters, and it tugs at the heartstrings, but I like to not have too many moments where there's not also laughter, because I feel like that's how we access so many of our human emotions, and how we connect with each other is through laughter and sort of just enjoying life and its ridiculousness.
And obviously the theme in a lot of this, aside from being a comedy, is that it's for a dog owner
Mhm.
or dog in general. So what can a dog owner get out of seeing this? And
Yes, All Bark No Bite definitely appeals to the dog owner, whether we've ever had one as a child, have one now, and especially if you've ever rescued one, that idea that they rescue you right back is a real thing. So I find that dog owners really can connect with this, and I guess that's a good time to bring Quinn into this. So he approves, and he's been at every rehearsal, sort of guiding the way.
awesome. What do you got to say about this? Oh, okay.
He's into it.
Mm.
It's funny. It's funny, he says.
Awesome. Let me see. Am I missing anything, you think, or something I can kind of?
I guess maybe like the goal or the future,
Sure.
like the
Okay.
future.
Do you want me to? I can ask the question. Maybe
Yeah,
it's easier.
yeah.
So, so what is the overall goal of this production, and where do you see it going?
I believe that All Bark No Bite could have a huge reach, that it really could resonate in community theater. I came up as an actress and an assistant director, now a director and a playwright. And so I've acted in a lot of comedies where these are the type of roles that I would have loved to have had, and the sort of camaraderie I would have loved to create on stage. And I want this show to keep being produced. I want to be part of that on any level that a theater might want me to be. I want to develop the script so that it grows with the times and it grows with the accessibility of it. And ultimately, I want this play everywhere. I want people to enjoy it. And there's not a better feeling than knowing that somewhere in the country, at any given moment on a weekend night, people are laughing and enjoying a story that I wrote and shared. So that's the dream, is to continue doing that.
That was great.
Do you mind if I pose a question real
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead.
If there's any kind of message or anything you want the audience to take away from your play?
I think one of the big messages in All Bark No Bite is an idea of acceptance and that sort of unconditional love that, yes, we get from our dogs often or from our pets, but that we really can give to each other if we're vulnerable and we seek connection and communication and just allow ourselves to meet in that place.
Awesome. Maybe if you want to do one last thing is maybe you give, I don't know if you want to look at the audience and just say, make sure to come check us out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
That's
we
a good
use that
point.
necessarily for this or we can
Or
use it
just,
for the, yeah.
What would I say?
Yeah, I don't know, something along the lines of, I don't know, maybe some pitch that you can put at the end about
Right.
make sure to come watch us. We'll, this location, something to that effect.
Yeah. All right. So it would be for like this production?
Yeah, maybe that could be something I can quickly put
Quickly,
together if
alright.
you want to. I mean, that's not
All right.
anything to be hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just like dates and
Yeah, if you want to then you just kind of look and just say, or you can say it to me. It's fine, whatever's easier.
All right. Yeah, I can say it
Yeah,
there.
and you can bring the dog
Let's-
up. And
you ready?
you know.
You ready? Is he in it? Is he there?
Yeah.
Is he- Make sure to come out and see All Bark No Bite at Calliope Productions, running February 28th to March 10th, 2019.
Awesome. Yeah,
All right.
great. I think we could carry it out.
Oh, my name is Meg Norton. I'm from Dudley, Massachusetts.
Cool. All right. So we're good to go? All right. Awesome. So Meg, let me tell, or other way around. can you tell me a little bit about your role here in this production?
Sure. So in this production of All Bark No Bite, I'm playing Bella. So Bella is the 2-month-old puppy of Robert, the romantic lead, and Bella is a character. She's dramatic, dynamic. She loves everybody, wants to be a part of everything, wants everyone's love and undying affection, but then will throw a temper tantrum when she gets her way, like a child would do.
Can you explain a little bit about your character for an audience that doesn't know anything about her yet?
So she's a Maltese. She's about 2 months old, meeting Charlotte for the first time. So she's excited about new things, but at the same time very much wants to be with Bobby, wants to be with the familiar owner that she knows and loves, and doesn't understand why the rest of the world doesn't immediately love her the exact same way. She's a little forward, a little abrasive, but very loving and caring.
Awesome. What is the rehearsal process been like for it?
It's been unlike any other show that I've been a part of, but it's been incredible. So for the rehearsal process, we came in off book, meaning no scripts in our hands. You needed to know the first 20 pages for the first 20 pages you ran. So we sat around in a circle, did a line through a couple of times, and then after that, it's like, all right, put it on its feet, and let's get this in motion. So we did literal gestures, and we were being over the top and pulling as much out of ourselves as we possibly could, so that when we actually got to the blocking and making these characters real, we weren't trying to pull more out, we were trying to soften them and make them a little more realistic. So for a character like Bella, some of the things that I did in those literal gestures are things you see on the stage. Other things have been toned way back, have been, levels have been added. I'm on the floor, I'm kicking a door. So
what have you
fun.
learned about yourself actually now as an actor from this production versus something else that you've done?
I tend to be a little more tentative when it comes to taking risks in terms of improvising, but coming in knowing the lines already gave me a lot more flexibility to take those risks and be more adventurous, and it's definitely a practice I want to try to employ in the future, to come in as on top of my lines as I can and to just take those risks right up front. I know I've heard directors say 1,000 times, I need you to give me as much as you can. It's easier for me to ask you to dial it back than to pull more out of you. So to know that I can hit the floor running and give that all, it's a cool discovery to have.
Fantastic. Hey, can you hear them? You want to just close that door maybe? I don't want them to.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, you good? Okay. So, working with Kara, what was that like for you?
It's been wonderful. I've known Kara for about three and a half years now. She was doing photography for a show that I was in, and her photography has been all over the Worcester area. She's incredible. And she actually did a table read of this show after its initial workshop production, and it was cool to be a process of that and see where her head was at and how she wanted to develop things, and there were suggestions and comments that were made in that table read that we did that translated to the stage. So now to be working with her and to see where this all came from, what her ideas and inspiration were, and to then put it on its feet and delve into that as an actor playing one of her characters in her world, it's been a blast.
Awesome. Now, as a viewer who's never seen this production before, what can I expect from this production?
Lots of laughs. It'll be a production that start to finish comedy. Even in the more serious moments, the dogs have their quirky little interjections. So the dogs don't understand, or the dogs do understand the humans don't understand the dogs. Suzanne appears too when she's drunk, so some of the conversations are more fluid, and even with the pets and their owners, you see they're almost at that point of exactly understanding each other, and then one of them turns in the other direction. So even from a serious moment, those tangents help bring up that humor, and there's physical humor, little plays on words, and it's a lot of laughs. We had fun putting it on, rehearsing it, and we hope that translates to the audience. And with Kara's script, it absolutely should.
Fantastic. All right, and maybe lastly I can ask you is, what about the script appealed to you? What was that something from that script that actually just talked to you?
The concept itself was a huge incentive. I'm actually a huge cat person myself, not a dog person. So the fact that I found myself so drawn to this script, I mean, I find myself talking to my cat. The cat's not talking back, I know that. The dog's gonna be a little bit more vocal, they're gonna bark back, have some interactions with you. And to see that interaction brought to life and brought to this whole new other dynamic, it'll make you think about your interactions with your pets, and it made me think about mine. And I've warmed up to Kara's dog, which didn't think I was going to, not usually a dog person, but the show may change your heart.
Perfect. Well, that's it. I think
Okay.
we're good. I don't think there was anything else
Okay,
that I missed. No, I think that was good.
alrighty.
So we'll start with your name and your participation here in this play.
Okay, my name is Michael Prey, and I'm playing Suzanne.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the rehearsal process. What's that like?
So the rehearsal process, it's a bit more unique than what other rehearsal processes are. We start with, well, we do a read-through first, which is pretty typical. But then after that, we do texted improvs. So it's not quite the same as like a typical improvisation where, you know, you're making things up as you go along. You have the script, and you memorize scenes ahead of time. And you get up with your other actors, and you physically embody the different lines. So one of the easiest examples is like if your line was, "You're driving me crazy," be something like, "You're driving me crazy," something like that. And it's by doing that that you really kind of get the lines into your body, and you kind of break down the barriers between yourself and the other actors. It really gets you working together a lot quicker and gets you out of your head a lot quicker, because you really have to be there and be present with each other. And you're being completely ridiculous, so by then you don't care how you look.
Right. So what have you learned about yourself actually being in this play?
Learn about myself. Well, I look like my mother when I am dressed as a woman. But that aside, at least in terms of like the rehearsal process, it's really helped me learn to get out of my head. Even though I do come from a physical theater background, just that reinforcement really helps, and also not to judge anything that you do or anything that you say, and also, you know, it with my role in particular, it's really helped me, you know, see into, you know, a different viewpoint, even though I do have some exposure through family and such, to really internalize that and try to understand that point of view and to experience it myself to some degree. Like, really, I'll never quite know, but it's been very eye-opening, and you know, this is something that I tackled with very great care, because I want to do it justice, just because of people in my life who have had similar experiences.
Awesome. What is it like working with Kara?
Working with Kara is great. She's fantastic. She's very nice, very funny, clearly very creative. She wrote the play, of course, and it's very silly, but also very original and interesting kind of show. I've learned a lot by working in this process with her, and she's you know, gotten better and better as she's gone along, because I know she's also learning as she experiments with this rehearsal process too. So it's been fantastic just to, you know, play alongside with her and to learn with her as well.
Awesome. So going back to your character, what are some characteristics of your character do you think the audience are going to be drawn to?
Oh, well, she's unabashedly herself. She owns who she is, and that's something that we can all really, you know, use in our lives. Clearly, she has doubts, but in spite of those, she still, you know, soldiers forward and is, "Here I am, take me as I am, or get out of here." And you know, that you need that kind of confidence, you know, just in life in general, and I think that's something that people can really take from her specifically. And she just has a love for fun. You know, she's learning Samba, whether or not she's really digesting it or not. She's having a great time, and you love her for that.
So if I could maybe ask you the same question, but maybe just so the viewer knows who she is. So if you can maybe just use the character's name.
Sure.
So so maybe we can just get into what are your favorite aspects of playing this character?
Some of my favorite aspects of playing Suzanne, well, I enjoy taking on new physicalities. I do have a great physical theater background, so embodying something new, something different is always really exciting. And so getting to embody the feminine persona has been a lot of fun. Also, dancing a little bit is a lot of fun, and just having a blast. And yeah, there you go.
And maybe just to stay on track with asking these questions about the character, is there like a favorite line from the show that sticks out for you that you just...
Well, this has been an experience.
Awesome. So I don't know how many of these questions she wants me to ask you, so I'm just going to go through a few and then...
Sure, no problem.
So we have one that's called All Bark, No Bite, and Pet Owners.
Oh, yeah.
That makes any sense. Okay, so it says, what would be the appeal for dog owners or dog lovers?
Well, it kind of gives you an inside view into what your pets may be thinking when you're talking to them and how they relate to you. I mean, it's hilarious watching the dogs at work up there. I mean, they're played like people, but you still see those dog habits and those dog tendencies and such. And I think it really will make you look at your dog and think, you know, what are they really thinking when I'm talking to them?
Do you think the show will have pet owners looking at their pets in a different light? Which is
Yes.
pretty much so I think you pretty much answered that. Sorry. All right. Will you be looking to work with Kara on future endeavors?
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a fantastic experience, and actually, I kind of am right now. Both Julie and I have been attending some of her works in progress. She does some play readings, so we've attended those. It's great to see what she's working on and to give feedback and see how they progress. So yeah, absolutely. I am gung ho to jump into any projects that she has in the future.
Fantastic. I don't know if we have anything else. Maybe just lastly, like, what's been the difference between working on this project and maybe any projects you've done in the past?
Well, part of what's made this different than other productions, again, it's the rehearsal process. That level of preparedness that you have to have coming into the texted improvs really builds a solid foundation for when you get into blocking and stuff, which makes things go so much smoother. You already have that much more trust in the people that you're on stage with, and it just makes it that much more fun to play and explore and create new things and new interactions and new interpretations of things as you go.
And actually, just lastly, like, I'm someone new, has no idea about this play. Like, what can I expect out of what this production is going to bring?
Oh boy. Well, a lot of miscommunication leading to hilarious results. I guess at the most basic level, that's something that you can definitely expect and enjoy and really embrace. There's comedy and pain, and there's plenty of pain happening, but also plenty of joy as well. And of course, you'll see a lot of adorable dog interactions that you just can't help but watch your heart melt.
If I can just have you maybe even just start the beginning of that, just by reiterating the question, maybe just so that, again, the viewer, if they're watching, they know. So in other words, just say one thing that the viewer could expect would be, and
Okay.
just kind of, and then you can go as far as you want. You don't have to say, because
Sure.
already quote was great,
Okay.
so.
Well, one thing you can expect as an audience member is a lot of miscommunication, a lot of misheard things or things that are cut off that leads to a lot of wacky misunderstandings, which you'll really enjoy, and also plenty of cute dog interactions, which always melts your heart.
Awesome. Well, that's it.
All right, thanks, Ben.
Great. So when I ask the questions, also just for the viewers' sake, if you want to just reiterate whatever I'm asking, so that they kind of get the context of the question.
Sure.
So we'll start with your name and your involvement with the production.
So my name is Scott Lyerly. I've been involved with the production mainly from a social media standpoint, a little bit of the marketing stuff. My wife and kids have been actively involved in the theater Calliope for some time, so I've sort of gravitated into it. And for this particular show, I was able to do a lot of the social media as much as I could, in so much as this is, like most of us here, it's a volunteer thing. We all have full-time jobs and day jobs and stuff like that.
So your involvement is in with the marketing. So what things have you actually been able to help push together for this?
So some of the stuff that we've been able to pull together is primarily a collaboration with the Worcester Animal Rescue League. And it's been really great because we reached out to them to see if they wanted to sort of be involved, because this particular show, dogs feature so heavily in the show. And then the show itself has a fairly strong message of adoption. We worked with the Worcester Animal Rescue League to be able to cross, I don't want to say promote, but essentially cross-post a lot of their animals that are in need of adoption on our own page. So what I would do is I would go to their website, I would pull the pictures and some of the details of some of their dogs for adoption, and I would put them on our page and let those get shared on a wider audience, which has been great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, have you seen a lot of social interaction with this as of yet, or is this something that you guys are hoping?
We are seeing more social interaction. We're certainly getting more, we're getting more engagement in the posts than we would on just sort of the normal everyday Calliope posts. And the local newspaper, The Item, which is sort of a smaller piece that's attached to the Worcester TNG, they'll pick it up and then they will share it, and so it really gets a lot of engagement and a lot of views, which is great.
So with your involvement with the social media aspect of everything, what is the end goal that you guys are hoping to be able to meet with the show, and then what you're able to put out on?
What is the angle we're trying to?
No, not angle, end goal, sorry.
Oh, end goal.
Sorry.
I think the end goal, I mean, the end goal is twofold. We certainly want to build awareness for the show, and we certainly want to get more people to come see the show. But we also want to be able to, provide that ability for people to see from an animal standpoint, these animals that are in need of adoption, and this organization, and it's not just animals that you can adopt, you can donate time, you can donate money, you can volunteer. We want to be able to get them engaged as well, and hopefully some of the people who come see the show will then turn around and engage with them as well, which would be great.
Fantastic. I don't know if there was anything else
I
supposed to ask.
don't
Kinda
think so.
spitballing with you too, so.
It was a little impromptu,
Okay.
but yeah, no, that's been it. It's been a lot of fun. I sort of share it with another person who's on the board, but for this particular show, I've been running more or less point on the social media standpoint, and it's been great. We've had a lot of really great positive response for it.
And what's how has it been your relationship in working with Kara, for example?
Oh, Kara's great. She's really flexible in terms of what you want to do and how you want to approach it, but she has a vision. Right? She knows what she wants. She knows what she wants to get out of the show and how she wants to see it run, and so having someone in the director's seat who really knows what they're looking for, knows what they're after, has been really, really great because when you have an idea, she'll give it some thought and determine whether and not only whether it's a good idea, but also expound upon that in terms of, hey, and by the way, we could also try this. And she's got she's probably a lot more social media savvy than most people I've run into. So she's off and running.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered the basics.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
No, thank you.
Well, I'm Charlotte's neighbor. I'm always looking out for her, and I guess she looks out for me a little bit too. But I'm here to, make sure that every man that, sneaks into her life is worthy of her, and of me too.
What can the viewers expect to find out about Suzanne and just about this production as a whole?
Well, about Suzanne, really that there's a lot more to her than this big, boisterous woman that you see. Beneath that confidence, there is a lot of sensitivity and depth to her, even though she still likes to party.
What's it like being a male playing a female in this play?
Well, I mean, it's exciting. It's a lot of fun being able to have this opportunity to play this female who does have a lot of depth to her. She has certainly plenty of challenges of her own, just in the kinds of things that she's grappling with in not only just her personal life, but in her internal life as well. And it really helps illuminate a new perspective and really expand your horizons.